Well, I think everything is working, and I can see that it is. Well, everybody, today is Thursday, September 21st, 2023. Welcome to my Clear Blue Radiance channel here for Resident Essentials YouTube channel. This is a podcast I try to do every week, but I was a little spent energy wise last week, so I took a little time off for myself. I'm glad I'm back today. I have a very interesting topic. It's going to be a short topic. As you know, I happen to be long winded, right? I'm always, yeah, 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 yeah. So I'm on here now. And what this is, Clear Blue Radiance topic is, are you living your life by default? Let me say that again, and I'll speak a little slower. A lot of you know I get hyped when I'm teaching. Are you living your life by default, or are you striving to live your life by feeling the I am presence of divine grace in your heart? Now, that's important. We should be living our life through our heart. In fact, I'm going to give myself a few hearts. 100% should be a celebration of life, right? And so, when we're thinking about these things, we want to be aware that we should be living through our heart. Now, sometimes we do, and it depends on the conditions, situations, patterns of behavior, not only of yourself, but everyone else. You have family members, you have friends, you got co-workers, you got neighbors, and so on and so forth, relatives. And everybody is expressing themselves. Now, some people, and I know myself in the beginning, you didn't think like you could actually make your life better. You thought that, okay, what you saw was what you were supposed to be doing. So before I jump into this topic, let me first say that I'm the podcast host here for the Circle of Grace One on my own channel on YouTube, and my particular podcast that I offer on Resident Essentials YouTube channel is Clear Blue Radiance. I've been a spiritual counselor for about 40 plus 45 years now. I enjoy helping people such as yourself gain, not release, not let go, but gain greater clarity in your own life. We all need that. And we all can receive that from other people, not just from a small knit circle of people, but it should graduate. You should know people from different stratas, or allow yourself to meet people from different stratas, okay? Different levels, different layers. But also, along with gaining greater clarity in your life, also like to help you discover or redefine your purpose in life. Now, as you grow and change within yourself, as your heart is growing and changing, so will your purpose. Your purpose can become more refined, or you might realize, okay, your purpose is your path, but it's also the Pacific path that brings not only you happiness, but many other people happiness in your life. It's where you make your greatest impact. Your purpose makes your greatest impact. I used to think when I found out that the word dharma has to do with purpose, I used to say, let your dharma be your karma. In other words, let your purpose be the thing that you're working on, and not so many of these issues. Now, many times you're going to experience what people call the lower self, which is also called your shadow side, the side you don't show to the world. Many people will see that. Some people will assume what it is, but don't know what it is. And one of the most important things is work on yourself. Don't be concerned about who's got a shadow life, who's got a lower self, because while you're entertaining that, you're also bringing that stuff into your life. I'm going to say this again. If you're concerned about someone else living on a lower vibration, or you think they're on a lower vibration than you, or you think they're being negative, you're picking up that person's energy, and that person's energy is now in your feeling box, in your energy. And now you got all of these negatives rolling around. So, like my late mother used to say, Mind your business. One of her friends used to say, take the first 6 months of the year minding your own business. The first 6 months. Then take the next 6 months doing whatever you can to stay out of everyone else's business. Her name was the late Sister Lewis. I know she passed away about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago at least. She was probably pretty much on top of being about 90 years old, if not 98 years old. She used to crack me up all the time back on Long Island. She used to say it. She says, take the first 6 months of your own life and mind your business, tend to your own affairs. Now, during that time, you're going to run into neighbors, family members, relatives, co workers who are going to tell you about their life. And if you're mistaken, if you have a problem, you'll fall into their banter, into whatever's going on in their life. And now that energy becomes a part of your energy. So she says, then you take the second half of the year staying out of their business. Do your best. So what is she saying? 12 months a year, mind your own business, tend to your own affairs. Do not be concerned so much with everybody else's because there's enough on your plate. You have enough, more than enough on your plate. So you don't need to be concerned what everybody else is doing. You're not here to compete with other people. The only competition, the only race you got going on is with yourself. Who are you today? Who are you tomorrow? Who were you yesterday? Can you be a better person today than you were yesterday? So we want to reach out, want ourselves individually to reach out into the ethers and back again. Because the thoughts that you keep putting out there will come back to you. They don't go back to anybody else but you. So if you get upset and upset up somebody, so upset, you just wish the worst, it's going to come back to you because you're the first one that's going to experience. The universe knows your energy, your key signature energy, the tone of your voice, the way that you think, the way that you look, that you decided, the robe you decided to put on in this lifetime. The universe is tracking you all the time. The universe, your one verse, your word is tracking you all the time. So this is very important for us to understand. Right now, we are all being challenged to change our consciousness. And everybody's talking about the great awakening, the great shift. Well, it's just about around the corner. Why? Because if you follow pretty much what astrology does, and I like to look at it this way, if you got one of those big affirmances, the one that says birth dates from 1900 to going to 2000, and then from 2000 to 2050, and one's a red book and others a blue title book. And so what happens is the red one is like 12 noon from 1900 up to 2000, right? Give you 100-year stretch in there or more. And then you got that blue book that takes you from 2000 going up to 2036, 37. Right around there, boom, there's this big shift. We've had all these planets like lined up in one sign. We get that all the time, 4, 5, 6 planets lined up in a row, right? Impact after impact after impact. Cardinal sign people going through impact. You fixed sign people got to hold the fort down. Mutable people can jump back and forth. All right. But we going through these changes. And these changes are affecting us on big levels, right down into our personal affairs. So we have to pay more attention. So that's why we're being challenged to do what? To raise the bar for ourselves, let it become a higher awareness, a higher remembrance. We will go through things which include letting go of people and moving on. Do you know that not everybody's supposed to be on the same boat with you? Not everybody. My late mother Grace would say that. You missed the boat. There was a reason why. Not just being late, but there's a reason why you're supposed to miss that boat. There's a reason why you missed the train. The reason why you missed the bus. Something else is transpiring around that's causing you to miss things. Sometimes that's good for you, and sometimes that may not be good for you. But you got to realize if you're missing something, it's okay. You don't have to use this face all over the planet. There are going to be some moments when you need to be quiet and to yourself. Do you know that 2023 in numerology, 2023, that's 20 plus 23, that's 43. The root compound digit there is 40. That's purification of your memory. This is why on some level, symbolically, using numerology, you're not remembering everything. You're figuring like, wow, I'm moving from one part of my house to the next, and I don't remember what was my intention about going into the kitchen or going into the living room or going to the into my den or into my basement or second floor attic. Why I'm in the garage? You just lose it that fast. Why? Because man-made time really doesn't exist. No, it never did exist. We just use that in increments. And there's two types of times people use, right? The regular time, 1 to 12, and then 1 o'clock to 12 midnight. But then there's the one that people favor more, which is military time. So you start off at 12 a.m. and when you arrive back before 12 a.m. the next day, you have gone 2,300 hours. Why? Well, they clock that astronomically, astrology wise, and everything, so they can see things better. So imagine your life shifting all the time. This is a 2023 universal year, which is a 43. In numerology, that represents hindrance and delays building up on some level. Hindrance and delays. So that means you got to get out of your own way. If we're all around by 2032, it's going to be a 52, which means something got left behind for sure and something got picked up for sure. Something was stripped away, something new is placed there. So here's another side of this. It's a universal 7. That's about self-study. Everybody should be studying themselves, not worried about somebody else. Pisces people, Cancerian people, Scorpio people, and people born in the 7th sign, which is Libra. These people need to just focus on themselves. Still go out and about doing your work, but stay focused on yourself. Why? Because there's more packages, more blessings coming your way once you learn to release and let go of some things. Next year, when it's 2024, it's an 8. So all the earth signs can get their blessings. But if the earth signs get caught up in what the water signs are doing, not going to get the blessing. If the earth sign gets caught up in what the fire sign is doing, it's not going to get the blessing. And so on and so forth. So it is important that you work on yourself, the shadow side, the lower self, whatever you want to call it. You got to work on yourself, and you got to get that self set aside and cleaned up. You got to work on the miscreated ego, the part of you that knows it all but doesn't know anything. You got to work on that as well. So in this topic, I use the word default. Are you living your life by default? And are you choosing to live your life by default? Are you living on a lower frequency where you are bogged down through drama, negative emotions, negative thoughts, and experiences? Or are you willing to show up for yourself? See, when you live by default, it's just like your computer. You know, when your computer comes to you, if you have some problems, if you haven't cleared the hard drive, like refragmented that hard drive, defragment the hard drive, do whatever you need to do, then you know what happens. You might have to go back to factory reset, which is by default, and start out fresh all over again. It is the same in our life, but a little different. So what happens, we're slowing ourselves down. You do not have to live in the past or anyone else's past. This is where, our elders used to tell us, and the elders used to tell them, you cannot afford to seek validation from other people. You cannot afford to seek validation from other people. Now, why is that? Because if you seek validation from others, that means you don't know your own value. You don't know where you fit in to a bigger picture because you don't understand yourself on the smaller scale of things. So you're not willing to show up in your own life. You might be going around getting readings from, and hey, all of us are spiritual counselors, we're readers, we're whatever. But our first take is to try to help you get clear about yourself. When you can get clear about yourself, then you start looking at yourself. You start giving yourself a better, higher value than what you keep applying yourself to. That's why it's so important for you to be quiet. Here's a homework assignment for you. When you first get up in the morning, can you spend the first 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes, whatever it takes for you to shower up, dressed up, look cute, do whatever you do? Can you spend that in absolute silence? Can you meditate in silence? Why? Because when you spend those first 45 minutes to an hour or so right after you're getting up, you're actually setting your day. You actually can plug in and hear what you're supposed to do. Not supposed to do, just do. What am I here to act on? You will hear it, you will see it, you will feel it, you will smell it, you'll be able to touch it. Why? Because your heart is open to it. And then your mind is open. You become this open door, like a Dutch door. The heart is open, the mind is open. Why? To receive, as well as let go of old crap. You got to let go of things that are no longer assisting you. You got to let go of people who are not on the same page, and it's okay. It's all right if you all ain't on the same page. Why? Because you're not here to do the same stuff over and over and over and over and over. You're here to change and then what? Make an impact on the surroundings. And to what? Attract, to draw unto you, but not just unto you, but toward you, those who are on the same frequency as you. So you have to decide what is good for you. Some people, I need a new car. I can use a used car. I could use a house. I could rent a house. I can get a bigger apartment. I could have 3,000 more shoes, clothes, hats. I can have a stacked refrigerator. That's cool. Stacked freezer. Oh, that's even better. Then you're not worrying about how to feed yourself, right? There's some of us go on a fast because you're not worried about how you're going to eat because you know you're releasing the desire to eat or releasing the desire to overeat. So when you're able to make clear-cut decisions for yourself and then go by what the late Reverend Ike used to say, let the feeling get the blessing. Not just the thought, but the feeling behind the thought to get the blessing, then what happens is you start to gravitate toward positive people, positive life situations, new opportunities. And it doesn't matter on what stage or level or height that the opportunity presents itself, you just have to show up. If you show up, you shall receive. You don't receive anything by being home. However, if it's not your time to be out and about, then the universe will swirl around you and show you what it is that you missed and say that's a blessing, and what it is that you didn't miss which is a blessing coming to you. You start to pay attention to signs, symbols, tokens, glyphs, energy forms in different ways. You are able to what? Wake up and feel free. Go to sleep and feel free. Do what you do during the day and feel free. Why? Because I don't need, like, when I get up, I don't need to, like, be out and about. I like being by myself. Why? Because that's healing for me. I'll say that again. There's many of you out there that enjoy being by yourself. It's healing for you. Go out and be in nature. That's healing for you. Go out and walk in a place where you don't know anybody in particular. That's freeing for you. Go to a new restaurant, a new cafe. Sit down and just have a cup of coffee and a muffin. Gluten free if you can. But do what is important, do what is right for you, and let go of all the other things. You're not supposed to be holding on to things, holding on to people, having like this phenomenal anger that lasts forever and ever and ever, and grudges. All you're going to do is get sick. And if you don't think you're going to get sick, oh, don't worry, you will. Because the minute you drop your guard about all of that, these weeks and months later, why am I feeling this way? Oh, that's all that gunk that you said that you weren't holding on to, that you are holding on to. It's too late. It's in your body now. You didn't flush it out with water and everything else. You just wanted to hold on. Your miscreated ego caused you to hold on to so much static and so much negativity that even if you go, oh, I'm over it, no, you're not. Because something else is following you. And that something else are your old shadow thoughts that rose up around you. Are you choosing to live your life in a better way? Are you choosing to show up for you? No one has to show up for you. You just show up for yourself. You do not have to live in the past or anyone else's past. What are you doing to show up in your own life? What are you choosing to do for yourself? And as I say, you do not have to be anywhere but in your own heart. If your body is your temple, then your heart is your true home. If your body is your temple, then your heart is your true home. More so than ever before, it is time to live through your feeling connected into your heart. What is it really saying here? And don't go say, I'm wounded all the time and I'm the victim. No, you made yourself the victim. You chose to play that role. We all chose roles when we came in here. Some of us forgot the role when to get out of the role. The role became an addiction. Our hearts radiate greater light than our brains. The heart is the first thing formed in your body. Now, boom, here comes the heart. Boom, now comes the brain. And all these things are happening for you. Tap into your heart and live from there because the I am presence of divine grace dwells there, and so does your higher self. Let me read that part again. Tap into your heart and live from there. We're talking about the energy of the heart, not the physical heart, the energy of the heart center, the heart chakra, the wheel of life that is there. Tap into your heart and live from there because the I am presence, that's the God, goddess energy in you. The I am presence, the divine source reflected in you is the I am presence. The I am presence of divine grace, not just grace, divine grace. Divine grace is infinite. You would hear people say, how you feeling today when they went to the Christian church or the Episcopalian church? They say, oh, I'm fine and I'm highly favored. Well, guess what? So is everybody else. Everyone else is highly favored too. Why? Because grace shows no favor on anyone in particular. Let me say that. Grace shows no favor on anyone in particular. Grace will show up and then show out for you when the moment is right. And blessings, Jackie, Fillmore, Antoine. Good to see you here. So you have to let grace show itself through you. Why? Because it dwells in the heart chakra. And what else is there? The higher self. The higher self lives, dwells, and sleeps there. Inside the heart is the throne. A throne is a seat of power, but it's infinite power. A throne is a seat of infinite power. Your heart has infinite power. It can bless you over and over and over in the most subtlest of ways without you realizing that you've been blessed. Just like was the guy, they call him Uncle Charlie Wilson. He sings that song, "You are blessed, blessed." There's no stress because you're blessed. Grace will take you out of situations you have no business being in, especially if you've been in them too long. The spirit, the divine presence of grace. I'm not talking about my mother. I'm not talking about the angel of grace. I'm talking about the spirit, the divine fiat called grace. The divine fire called grace will move you out of situations. It will shake your will up. It'll shake your core. It will crack your foundation and then seal it back up when it takes everything out of your life, when it removes you from everything, when it removes everyone else from you. Then it'll come back and heal you. Grace will look at you. Oh, you look all crumpled up. Don't worry. Let me dry. Let me get the mud out of your eyes. Let me fix your rib that got cracked. Let me fix your hands that got stepped on. Let me get your digits, your 5 digits called toes, and screw them back on. let me press you out like with an iron on the table. Let me realign your spine. It don't look pretty, but in the end, it's divine. It doesn't look like it's flying right, but in the end, it is divine. It doesn't look like you're supposed to look right. Yeah, people come by and spat on you. People come by and call you names. People gonna do what they're gonna do. Why? They don't know. They blessing you. I used to hear this from other spiritual metaphysical ministers. I wish I could find some of their teachings. They would say, when you're being under attack, literally attacked all the time, people telling you what you're not doing, what you could be doing for them, when you're being under attack, you're actually being built for something better. It's hard to see that. It's hard to go through an incident and let yourself be attacked. I was watching some young people on TikTok, and the family is called the Black Adams family. They're from Chandler, Arizona. This guy, who their father is a jujitsu black belt, but he's got these two daughters. One can't. One is Cam. That's her nickname is Cam. I think it's for Carmen or Cameron, and I forget the other daughter's name. Older and the youngest one, they can't be no more than 8 and 10. They train at jujitsu at this jujitsu academy in Chandler, Arizona, so intensely that they fight from their back. Their back is on the floor 90% of the time. They enjoy it. And the youngest one, she is so patient. She just lets the person do what they need to do, and then she chokes them out. Or she gives them the arm bar in different ways. She just understands the process. And in the beginning, they weren't winners, but they earned this position at a very young age. Now, I'm bringing that up because that represents transition. When you could go from being on the seat of your pants, to being on your back, to being disrespected, to being this, all kind of things, all kind of names to be called. When you can just sit there and you're not taking it in, you're what? Letting it flow around you. And if you're masterful enough within yourself, it can flow through you and none of the daggers touch you. But it didn't flow through you, but none of the daggers wounded you. It could, all that negative energy, all those negative words could pop, 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 and don't leave a dent. And the other person walks off angry. Why? Because it's their burden and not yours. The only thing you had to do was just sit there and listen. Like my latest friend, Reverend Bill McDonald, is going to come back out to Albuquerque. He's from Encina, California, and he's going to teach compassionate listening. Well, I had to apply it. Now, I don't know if I did it right, but I think I did because I didn't overreact. I didn't underact. I didn't act out. I bring this forward because change is coming. Change is coming in a very profound way. We are being urged to change in a very profound way. We're being asked to let go in a very unique and subtle way. We're being asked not to fight the battle alone, but to get out the way or step back into the fold where your ancestors shall fight the battle for you. Because the ancestors in another life stream are still praying that the extension of them, which is you in this life stream, has a more positive life, has a lighter load to bear. In fact, has no more loads to bear. You don't have to call yourself master. The universe will bestow that title upon you. You do not have to call yourself king or queen. The universe will bestow that upon you. You do not have to say, I am a knight in shining armor, I'm a warrior. Mm-mm. The universe, the universe will bestow that upon you. You do not have to say, I'm wealthy. The universe will bestow that upon you. You do not have to say that I'm as wealthy as can be. The universe will bestow that upon you. See, every thought that you had, every feeling that you had, every prayer that you had, every decree that you have, every affirmative prayer, and every affirmation that you have, and every time you sat in meditation, what happened? The universe bestowed things upon you. It always is. That's why they say don't ask for nothing, just state thank you. Don't ask for a big car. Don't ask for a big house. You might have that on your agenda, but they just says be thankful what you now have. You ain't got no car, but you ain't got no headache either. You don't have no bills. You have no car payments. See, your load was light. You might say, "Oh man, I'm not in this. I wanted to be a big mansion, but I'm in this little tiny apartment." Guess what? Your little tiny apartment, it looks like a Harry Potter movie. You open the door, an expansion. Depending on where your apartment is, you might realize, hey, the jacuzzi and the pool and the game room and the rec room and the library, that's an extension of my apartment. If you saw it that way, then you will see, hey, I'm living okay. We are moving in a way that is helpful for us. That is, we're moving in a way that is truly helpful for us. I'm just going to put part of this title in here. I'll put it in two parts. Are you living by default? That's the first thing. Are you living by default? We just answer that. You don't want to live by default. That means you're asking for that factory reset. You're have to be taken back to a time when there's like you're not in control of anything. You just have to pick up the pieces. But what you really want to do is you want to live according to the feeling of the I am presence. So I'm gonna put that down here. You want to live according to the feeling of the I am presence, living through your heart. Why? Because that's where the blessing gonna come. Your blessing is gonna come because you living from here, not from here. So when you happen to live from here, not through your third eye, because they say if you can have the one single eye, let your body be filled with light, right? But you got to clear the junk out. Got to clear the little ashes out of the eyes. You have to look at yourself. You have to hold yourself up. You have to hold yourself accountable for yourself. You cannot be accountable for the next person, only yourself. That's why I said earlier in this podcast, don't be concerned about what others are doing. It's just like that Shakari Richardson showed us in Budapest. They stuck her in lane 9. What? For the 100-meter dash. Stuck her in lane 9. She can't see nothing. And if you're in lane 1, you definitely can't see what's going on. If you're in lane 9, you can't see what's going on in 1, 2, unless you running behind the pack. But that little angel had them wings popped up, and she, as they say, she ran down the 3 of the best in the world, who were consistently the best in the world. She caught them stride for stride and got to the line before they did and won. Same thing happened to her coach in 2017. I watched that one on TV live too. Justin Gatlin in a race with the best in the world, Usain Bolt, men's 100-meter dash. Justin Gatlin, her coach, had the far lane, the 9th lane, and he snuck up on the pack and he caught Usain Bolt, who's what, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". Justin Gatlin, he's just making 6 feet. Caught him at the line and he won. See, when it's your turn, when it's your destiny, you don't, as they say, you're not training to be seen by the world. You're just training. Nobody sees what you do in practice. No one sees what you do in your sleep. No one sees what you do behind closed doors. Only you and the universe, only you and the divine presence in you can see what you're doing. So you don't concern yourself with things outside of yourself. Just be concerned with yourself. So it's time to live through your feeling connected in your heart. Our hearts radiate a greater light than our brains. Tap into your heart and live from there because the I am presence, which is the divine source, infinite divine source that knows all, sees all, it's actually living in the spirit of divine grace. So the I am presence of divine grace dwells there in your heart center. And it's the same exact location where your higher self dwells. And again, I reiterate, what is your shadow self or your lower self? It is known as your miscreated ego. That's what Akhenaten said. You got this miscreated ego, this thing that you put too much life into and want it to be serve you. But the ego is nothing but a magnifier, so you can see what you need to look at. Here's a few more points. Use numerology and astrology to find out what cycles you are leaving and moving into, which frees your mind and keeps you from wasting time. You know a good astrologer? Tune in and let them tell you what you're leaving behind and what you're walking into. I had a friend, a minister friend, he's a bishop of his own church, Metaphysical Church in New Jersey, and he wrote this tune. And he said if the tune was if if you only knew what you were walking into, everybody would rejoice. That was the title of the tune. If you only knew what you were walking into, all you have to do is rejoice. And that was the refrain, rejoice, everybody rejoice. So if you know all that you're walking into creates a better venue for you, you would truly rejoice if you could see it in advance. But how can you see something in advance with the two physical eyes? You got to go to that third eye and then step down inside the heart chakra area, and feel it. When you are doing that, you are allowing yourself to do what? To receive the blessing, to feel the blessing. Reverend Ike used to say it all the time. You could decide to figure out what you want, decide what it is, and then work out a plan. But he said, you're best going on with the feeling. He said, let the feeling get the blessing, not the thought. The thought is just an itty bitty part of the step. He said, let the feeling get the blessing. So this is not a challenge. This is just a thought. Let the feeling get the blessing. That's what you want. Because if you can let the feeling get the blessing, you'll be the happiest person on the planet. You'll be truly celebrating. You'll go, what? And you go, 100% of that, and more love and light shall be yours. You'll be able to move where you're supposed to be. Live better by being better, by loving yourself unconditionally. Let me repeat that. Live better by being better, by loving yourself unconditionally. You are the number one fan in your own life. You got to be the number one fan in your own life. Make yourself a priority so that you can move forward and stay away from the past, because change is growth. That's my message today. I got just some light announcements to make. We have here coming into Resident Essentials today. I'm excited. I know Michelle just picked her up. Patty Negri. Patty, Pitti, Negri, Negri. She's known as Hollywood's Good Witch. This woman does seances out there in Hollywood. She's on, I think, like a Ghost Hunters TV cable show out there in Hollywood. And she's a very positive woman. She's coming in here, Resident Essentials today, September 21st, Friday, September 22nd, and Saturday, September 23rd. Saturday, she's doing all her readings at a discount. I can't wait for tomorrow night because she's going to talk about dragon magic and not magic. I have an interest in the dragon vibration, and I've always had that energy on me, around me in my life. Hey, so they coming back. Let me get some more information. She's doing a lot of things. She's doing sigil magic tonight. So if you want to find out, if you're here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, go to our website, www.resonantessentials.com. When you click on that link, the very first page comes up is the calendar, and you'll see everything that's in there. that's happening, all the events. Saturday, September 23rd, from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., you can come to my Creative Pathwork meditation series. I teach meditation every Saturday. Class is only for an hour, but the fee is only $10. Easy for you to participate. Come to Resident Essentials located at 3107 Eubank Boulevard, Northeast on the east side, just north of the intersection of Eubank and Candelaria Boulevard, inside the Scottsdale Shopping Village. When you ride in there, if you're heading north on Eubank and you cross over Candelaria, that immediate left where you see like the tower, and you'll see a place called Nashville Chicken, and you're gonna go right past it, and then the parking lot opens up, and the next building, stretch of buildings on your left hand side. That first one is Resident Essentials. You walk through the black door, which is Suite Store number 34. Got to be there on time. We don't lock. We used to lock the door at 11:35, but I don't do that anymore because a lot of people get hung up in traffic a little bit, and hey, it's an hour class, so people are looking for that place to park and park anywhere in that parking lot for $10, 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Now, here's something else that you need to know. Resident Essentials is a place where it's helping people one mind at a time, one person at a time, to help you grow metaphysically, spiritually, and intellectually. Because if you don't have the intellect together, how can you identify what you need to identify? So there's a lot of activities that go on at Resident Essentials. If you're in Albuquerque, New Mexico, take advantage of the opportunity and be there. Now, coming up next week, have you prepared your Akashic wish list? This is going to be a two. Michelle Vidal teaches this every year. She teaches how on midnight, when the veils are thin between October 31st and what they call Old Souls Day, November 1st, somewhere in there, you are consciously with your higher self looking at your Akashic records. And you're looking at the Akashic records, at least 5 life streams of them, seeing where you are now, where you are about to go. And I've attended the one last year. I'm not done. I'm still living the one from last year out. But this is going to be a 2-day workshop. Usually she's taught it every year up to this point, one day. Now, this time, Saturday, weekend Saturday, September 30th into Sunday, October the 1st, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., getting 2 days for a single price of $107. That's $53.50 a day. We're teaching you for 8 hours. That's a long time. But we're going to enjoy it. We're going to share. Hey, Ariat, Mott, we're going to share this information with you. I'm going to be talking about 2 subject matters. Part one, meta key number one, is on numerology, and I'm going to talk about, in a simplistic way for you to comprehend it, I'm going to talk about the importance of understanding your calendar day that you're born on, that day. I'm going to keep it on the digits 1 to 9, though, which makes it easier for people to comprehend. Then I'm going to talk about the master number birthday numbers 11 and 22. Now, what I'm going to talk about too is the destiny numbers 1 through 9 and destiny numbers 11 and 22. I might mention the others. There are some people that have come up with 33s and 44s as master numbers, depending on how their birth month, birthday, and birth year are looked at. So that's done on day one. After I'm teaching that, Michelle is going to talk about how to set this thing in motion and what it's about and what you get from it. Come Sunday, I'm going to go back and teach you how to use your personal year number, how to put that in motion so you can understand what you're going through. And we're going to look at some things from 2023, 2024, and maybe 2025. When you come to live to the event, this 2 day event, you're going to have to get in touch with me ahead of time because I'm going to need your month, day, and year so I can tell you what to look for. Then, when I give you the personal year number meaning that you need to know about on Sunday, October the 1st, from 9 a.m. to almost 12, I'm going to take you into meditation. I have a special guided meditation that was given to me that I channeled up way back in 1997. It's called Meeting Your Higher Self. And you're going to meet up with your higher self in that guided journey. And I know you're going to meet your higher self. If you've never met your higher self, you will in this workshop on Sunday, October the 1st. And from that point on, you will never be the same. You'll be leaning toward and embracing your higher self because that's who you need to be now. See, your higher self is going to be the one that's cleaning house. Your higher self. Your higher self is the one that's going to put you around the right circles of people. Your higher self will have you in the incubation stage where you feel like you're all by yourself, but you're getting new information about yourself that you're supposed to know now. This is information that has been locked away in your cellular memory. And your higher self is in there with his apron on, blowing a tune and sweeping and keeping everything nice and clean so it can present it to you. Now, it doesn't stop just there because once the 2 day workshop is over, we want you to keep working on these things. Why? Because within the first month, by the time November is over, you're going to have an inkling of what the heck are you supposed to be doing. And it's going to move you. Yes, Dharma is your personal truth. And I used to say, let your Dharma become your karma. Work on who you are here to be. As every time you come back, you're something different. You go off to a higher level. This new awakening, it's not a new awakening, but it's the great awakening, the grand awakening, is where everybody wakes up. But guess what's happening right now? There are splits going on right now. Some people will maintain the 3D consciousness because that's what they're here to do. It's not a jail cell for them. They're here to maintain it, right? So other people can gather their energy within it. See, 3D is your solar plexus. 4D is where you're right now. You're on the bridge. On your 4D, you're on the miniature rainbow bridge through your 4D. This is where you've been tested with your compassion, with grace, where your grace turns into divine grace. I've said it over and over to all my students. Remember that divine grace is a blessing as we are alive and well in the age of remembrance. We're here to reawaken. Every time we find ourselves here or on Venus or on Pluto or Neptune, and maybe cooking up in the sun, but that's the little sun. You're going to step past that because you got a bigger body of light. You step past that one and go into the blue one. Sirius. That's where you're supposed to be. Step up into Pleiades. That's where you're supposed to be. Have a recollection of Atlantis. That's where you're supposed to be. But guess what? You can't take no anger to none of these places. You can't take no spirit of revenge to none of these places. Why? Because the light will shine on you and your shadow self will be seen for what it is. Everybody else graduates, you have to slide back over to the 3D world for a little bit. And you say, I don't want to be there. You're just there for a hot minute. And I mean for a hot minute. Because you're not really in violation of anything. You just gotta get that old stuff out of your system. It's like having sinus congestion. It's like being constipated with old stuff. You gotta let it all go. What? Let go and what? Let God. Who's God? you. Ye are gods, talking to other gods. You must get out of your own way, get out of the way of the miscreated ego where you know everything, and get back where you don't know anything, and stay within yourself where you are the inner child. Better yet, you become the sacred child. Now you're the sacred child. Now you grow back into your divinity. And now your higher self comes, picks you up, and puts you back in 5D. 5D won't even look like what you think it looks like because every time you speak a word out of your mouth, things are changing drastically, immediately, quickly. That's why it's important to get as much rest as you can. If you feel like you got to go to sleep, you feel like you're supposed to stay home on the weekend, you better stay home on the weekend. If you feel like you ain't supposed to go any place on Sunday, you better stay in bed, stay home. If you feel like you don't got to go to work Monday and something says, I need you to go out for a walk, go out for a walk. And then it says, I need you to not go your usual route. I want you to go to this other route. And then you go through this other route and you see exactly who you're supposed to see. Wow, I haven't seen Miss So and so or Mr. So and so in 10 years. How did they get over here? Well, they've been there all the time before. They would got the urge to go out. When we start to pay attention to the higher self, we start paying attention to that star seed energy. We ain't star seeds no more. We are full blown stars walking around. We're known as immortals, walking around in a primordial body of light. You don't even have to work hard to push the light out. People will see your light from a mile away. People will hear your words from miles away. People who have the four-legged ones, as dogs and cats, they see your light faster than other people do. They start looking around you and they notice you're not traveling alone. You are traveling with some beings. So let's get ready. So, you know what I need to do? I'm pushed. I haven't done this in a long time. Let me just give you a short meditation right now that this will impact your days to come up. As you begin to inhale through the nose and release the breath through the mouth. I just want you to let go of all thoughts and feelings that led up to today. And all I want you to focus on, and this is from the book of Akhenaten and Nefertiti's, The Wisdom of Akhenaten, as I am, and who had the gift of the blue flame, and then the gift, which is the wisdom of Nefertiti as I am. I just want you to see a blue light, darker than this, lighter than this blue, a blue flame. This is the blue flame of abundance and prosperity and balance and law. People talk about the law of one, you're the one law. I want you to feel that deep within inside yourself, not just on your hands, but inside your hands. A, a beautiful, radiant blue light. And the more you can inhale, if you can imagine holding your palms up like this and closing them almost, leaving a gap there, right? Leaving enough of a gap where you can feel the energy and then open back up. Think of it as a butterfly, a golden butterfly, golden white with teal blue and pink and emerald green and royal purple striations. You're opening and closing your palms, just like this butterfly. I want you to put that in front of your own heart, opening and closing, bringing the thumbs apart, then bringing them together. Separating the palms, you inhale, bringing them together, and then exhale, opening up the other end. I want you to put your hands down. I just want you to feel that energy that you are now creating, that you're giving to the world, giving to your surroundings, impacting the world around you, getting a sense of oneness with yourself. And just repeat, I am the oneness called the higher self. I am the oneness called the higher self. One more time. I am the oneness called the higher self. And just be quiet and silent. On that note, thank you for joining me for today's program. I didn't know I was going to go this long. I never do. As I say, I get excited when I'm teaching. This is Clear Blue Radiance. I'm usually here every Thursday at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We're right on top of the fall equinox. I think it's today or tomorrow. You know, when it's the fall equinox, equal light, equal dark, perfect balance, perfect harmony with yourself. Be one. Embrace yourself, love yourself first. Put yourself first. You're fan number one. You got to put yourself first. If you're going to be accountable for yourself, then love yourself first. Don't let it sit in the hands of someone else to love you. It's up to you to love yourself unconditionally. Remember, throne is power. The power within is divine grace. So, my grace is your grace. See you next week, hopefully here at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for another new episode for Clear Blue Radiance. I'm the host and creator of this podcast, Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. And like I always like to say, remember that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. See you next week, everybody.